Today, I want to talk about God with us. God with us. God with us. A lot of the times we want someone with us in a time of worry or in a time of trouble. You know, if I'm going through something, I want someone to be there for me. I want a shoulder to cry on. I want a hand to hold. You know, there's like when you're getting a needle put in you, you really want a hand to squeeze in case you get nervous. I remember there was a Friends episode where Ross is holding Monica's hand so hard he nearly breaks her hand because he was so nervous. But that's the reality of life, that we want someone's hand to hold. We want someone to be there for us. And today, God is the person there for us. God is always there for you, as we'll see in these scriptures. I would like to open up with Jonah chapter 1 and verses 2 through 3. Jonah chapter 1, verses 2 through 3. And Jonah is a person who is given the right to become a prophet of the Lord, who is given the right to give the scriptures to a certain group of people. He was given the right to become a spokesman for God. Now, for the honor of the reading of the word, if you can stand, you may at this time. But the Lord's strength was in Jonah. Jonah didn't have any reason to worry, but we see here that fear still creeps in. It starts in verse 2. It says, "Get up and go to the great city of Nineveh. Announce my judgment against it, because I have seen how wicked its people are." But Jonah got up and went in the opposite direction to get away from the Lord. How funny of a sentence is that? That the Lord, who was prophesied to fill all of the heavens and the earth, you can somehow get away from him. But that's how we feel sometimes. Somehow, some way, we have that doubt creep in. That's a big word, doubt. I don't mean big in how many letters are in it, but big in its significance. Doubt is something that creeps into all of our lives at every moment. The serpent is trying to creep in doubt, plant a seed of doubt in our lives. It goes on to say, he went down to the port of Joppa, where he found a ship leaving for Tarshish. He brought a ticket and went on board, hoping to escape from the Lord by sailing to Tarshish. You may be seated. How many times do we want to go into the opposite direction of our worries? We want to go into, I'm really worried about this thing that's going against me. I'm really worried about the thing that's creeping up. What am I going to do? And we want to just escape. We want to go in the opposite direction. We want to find any way out, any way we could get on board on a ship and go the absolute opposite way. Any way that we could find a place to go where we don't actually have to deal with that worry. That's where the doubt creeps in. You know, this last weekend I was at someone's house, and they live in the woods, and I opened the door to leave, and a garden snake, slithers in. And all of us nearly jump in surprise, because it was at the crevice of the door. It was trying to get in, and as soon as I opened the door, it got in. You see, it found a way. Okay, I'm going to get in somehow, and it waited for the right moment to get in. That's how doubt can be in our lives. That's how doubt can creep into our lives, that despite having everything, Jonah is given the honor and glory of being a prophet for the Lord, of being a person who speaks for the Lord, of being a person who is a representative for the Lord, and he still finds a way to doubt. And I'm not closing in on Jonah here. That's humanity. You know, we really love superpowers. We really love movies. But I would say, if I would say any superpower that humanity has, is the superpower of doubting. Because in any moment, in any situation, we somehow find the ability to doubt. It's a big word because of its significance. Doubting is something that goes into all of our lives. That even with the Lord being on that journey with us, if Jonah did immediately just go to Nineveh, God would be with him. God would be with him on that journey. But he decided to go the opposite way because of his doubts. Because of the way that serpent just slithered into his heart. The serpent that makes you want to doubt, that makes you want to be afraid, that makes you want to worry, that makes you want to be stressed. That's that serpent that creeps into your heart today. Today, the devil is trying to find any way he could make you doubt. We see in the next verse in Exodus chapter 14 and verses 10 through 11, we see the Israelites are running away from Pharaoh and his armies, and in this moment this is after all of the plagues happened, after they were safe, after all of those terrible things happened, after they didn't even have a scratch on them, after the Lord was with them in all of those 10 plagues, after the Lord had been with them throughout all of it, they still find a way to doubt. They see the armies before them, and they say, as Pharaoh approached, the people of Israel looked up and panicked when they saw the Egyptians overtaking them. They cried out to the Lord, and they said to Moses, "Why did you bring us out here to die in the wilderness?" Wow. These same Israelites who had been blessed with so many things, that when all of the toads, when the flies, and all of the terrible things happened to Egypt, it didn't hit the Israelites. It didn't hit them. And somehow, in this instance, they see a bunch of men, and they doubt. After they see the power of God already, they still find a way of doubt. That's all of us. All of us can be in this scenario. We have seen the Lord's power in our life. How many of us can attest to that? We've seen the Lord's power in our life, but we can still find a way to doubt. Goes on to say, weren't there enough graves for us in Egypt? What have you done to us? Why did you make us leave Egypt? Why did you make us leave the same land that we were being whipped, that we were servants, that we were slaves? Why did you make us leave there? That would have been way better than being here where you could protect us. You see, there was a moment of doubt with the Israelites, and we'll see that more in their story. But there was a moment of doubt that crept in, that went into their hearts. If you see in the story of Matthew chapter 8, in verses 23 through 27, it says, "Then Jesus got into the boat and started across the lake with his disciples. Suddenly a fierce storm struck the lake, with waves breaking into the boat, but Jesus was sleeping. The disciples went and woke him up, shouting, 'Lord, save us! We're going to drown.'" This is an instance where the disciples, who are with God himself, who are sharing a boat with the person that we sang earlier, is the wind that fills our sails, that helps us move. That is the God who made everything. The disciples are with him, in fellowship with him, and he is in the same boat as them. And they are still doubting. They still find a way to say, "We're about to drown. We're about to die." They still find some distrust to be had. And then Jesus responded, "Why are you afraid? You have so little faith." Then he got up and rebuked the wind and waves, and suddenly there was a great calm. The disciples were amazed, saying, "Who is this man? Even the wind and waves obey him." You see, despite the disciples' worries, despite the disciples' doubts that they had, God was there with them. God was there in that moment. God was there in that time. God was there to calm the waves, to get rid of that worries that they had. Even though they doubted, God was still there with them. Why do we doubt today? We've seen the Lord's power. We see the Lord's power in our life. That the same God who created all of the things we see around us, the beautiful wilderness, the skies, the stars, the planets, He created every single acre of ground we stand on, and He's the person who lives in your heart, yet we still find a way to doubt. Today I tell you that the Lord is with you. The Lord is your guide, is your strength. He is your light. That in any instance of your life, He is there with you. He is there fighting your battles. He is there fighting for you. Trust in Him. In Isaiah chapter 7 and verse 14, a prophetic word for the Messiah, for Christ, it says, "All right then, the Lord Himself will give you the sign. Look, the virgin will conceive a child. She will give birth to a son, and will call him Emmanuel," which means God is with us. God is with us. That is a name above all names. Emmanuel, God with us. When Christ went down from His heavenly position to go in a human body, it was God with us. God being with us. And now He lives in our heart. How much more is He with us today, that when we sit in the pews, when we stand up, and when we sit down, He is living in our heart. And when we go home, He's living in our heart. And when we do whatever we do in life, when we go to work, when we go to school, when we have assignments, He's in us. He's in our hearts. God is with us. Emmanuel, the name is shouted forever and ever because God is roaming in your hearts today. God is with you today. Nothing can go above that. Nothing can go before that. God is with us. It goes on to say in Exodus chapter 14 and verses 13 through 14, this is Moses' response from God to the people of Israel when they doubted. When they said, "I'm too afraid," that were there not enough graves for us in Egypt, that we're just going to die out here. What are you going to do for us? It says, but Moses told the people, "Do not be afraid. Just stand still and watch the Lord rescue you today. The Egyptians you see today will never be seen again. The Lord Himself will fight for you. Just stay calm." Just stay calm. You see, in the moment of doubting, this was the message. Do not be afraid. The Lord Himself will fight for you. The Lord Himself is with us in our battles today. The Lord Himself has given us strength today. And I'd like to close with Joshua chapter 1 and verse 9, where it says in Joshua chapter 1 and verse 9, "This is my command. Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid or discouraged, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go." Today, trust in the name above all names. Shout the name Emmanuel, for God is with us today. The God who calmed the sea and the God who has done miracles upon miracles is living in your heart today.